Right, it's a different live stream. It's a challenge. I'm gonna call it a challenge because lately, in these last hours, we didn't have any particular transfer market news. So before starting this challenge, I just wanted to say that yesterday, I was planning the live stream and I came up with this. It's a good challenge. Play along with me. But yeah, just quickly, just to let you guys know the last transfer market news. Calafiori is one step away from a loan to Cagliari. Kumbula, many clubs are interested in Kumbula, to be honest with you. Fiorentina, Torino and Napoli in this area are all interested in Kumbula. And Maitland-Niles, things are starting to get a teeny tiny bit more complicated, which... God. But I think, as Fabrizio Romano said, there won't be any problem with that. I think the Maitland-Niles deal will be over in the next 24 hours, I think. And other than that, Roma are trying to buy Kamara. But today's live stream, it's not about that. Today's live stream, I am going to choose 5 players. Now, realistically, obviously, to make things more interesting, 5 players which AS Roma can realistically buy and bring them in and give them to Mourinho. It's a tough one. I spent quite a lot of time actually, choosing my 5 players, but I think I have come up with my list. But the first thing I want to do is I'm gonna put a poll in the live because just to make you guys interactive as well. And the poll is basically gonna ask which position would you prioritize in this transfer market window, in the January transfer market window? The attacker position, the defender position, or the midfield position? Let me put the poll right now. Right. The poll is there. It should have come. So, it's tough. Where do I start? To answer the question that I just gave to you guys, I think my 5 players are realistic players, okay, that Roma can actually buy. But obviously, they're players which I think if, Roma were to buy, they would definitely be players which Roma would buy in the summer transfer market rather than the January transfer market. Up to now, obviously, we are in January, basically. And the position which I think, we need to prioritize is the midfielder. Because I think the midfielder can avoid squad depth problem. It can resolve many problems. So I think the midfield position is the position which Thiago Pinto needs to prioritize. But let's start with this. Right, my first player is possibly the only one in this list which is harder to achieve. But it's not impossible. And there's a part of me saying that, I don't know. There's a part of me saying that this player wants to come back to Roma. And that's a clue. He plays for Chelsea. And this player is Rudiger. Now, it might be extremely hard to achieve. And I understand. In fact, he's probably the only guy in this list which is the hardest to achieve. But I have a feeling, there's just something in me which says that Rudiger wants to get back to Roma. Now, obviously, Antonio Rudiger's contract with Chelsea ends in a couple of months. This is his last season at Chelsea, that's for sure. And the top team which has approached Rudiger right now is obviously Real Madrid. So if Rudiger gets to decide where to go next, it would probably be Real Madrid. And I wouldn't blame it, to be honest with you. But I have a feeling Antonio Rudiger would accept an offer to Roma, a good offer to Roma, if he has the chance. If he gets an offer, I have a feeling he will accept it. Because when he played for Roma, the Roma team was actually unbelievable. He played, he was a Roma player when Mo Salah was a Roma player, when Nainggolan was in his prime. He has a visual of Roma which is amazing. They played extremely well. They got in a Champions League. And when Rudiger played for Roma, he was one of the main defenders next to Kostas Manolas. And he was a great defender. The fans absolutely adored him. So it's complicated. But, I don't know. It's the toughest one. in this list, but I have a feeling in me which says that Antonio Rudiger, if the right offer, if he's given the right offer with the good, amount of money he wants, I think, he would think about it for quite a long time. But I think if a good offer approaches Rudiger from AS Roma, I think there'll be no hesitation. So the first player I'm going to put in this list is Antonio Rudiger. Let me put him in. Because, as I said before, he loved this experience that he already had at Roma. And, why not repeat it again? I think, I don't know. I have a feeling in me which says that Rudiger wants to get back to AS Roma. But it might be just daydreaming. As I said before, it's possibly the hardest player to achieve in this list. But God, it would be great. Imagine a defense with Smalling, with Rudiger, with Ibanez. It would be absolutely lit, to be honest with you. So Rudiger is my first player, which I would 100% give Mourinho. I think also him and Mourinho would find themselves extremely well. Rudiger is a very aggressive player, just what Mourinho wants. So yeah, Rudiger is my first player. Now, my second player is more realistic. He's a very young player. He's an extremely young player. I'm talking about a player who currently plays in the Premier League, who currently plays for a club who equalized against Rudiger's club yesterday night with Danny Welbeck in the last second. It's not Danny Welbeck. Don't worry. It's not Danny Welbeck. Who wants Danny Welbeck? But this guy plays in the same team as Brighton. He plays for Brighton, who equalized yesterday against Chelsea with a massive point. He's an extremely young player. And, I'm just going to say it. It's Tariq Lamptey. Tariq Lamptey, in my opinion, is insane. Tariq Lamptey will be the next Trent Alexander-Arnold. His speed and everything is amazing. He is a player who Chelsea gave away to Brighton. I think it's not a good thing Chelsea did. Because I think, as I repeat, Tariq Lamptey has the potentials of becoming the next Trent Alexander-Arnold. But the reason why I put him here is that right now his value is nothing special. His value is gonna tremendously increase year by year because he's such a baller. But right now his value is nothing special. And this is why I think, if Roma would approach him right now, he wouldn't cost much money. He would give a boost to the defense, which I think every single Roma fan wants. Imagine Tariq Lamptey on one side and Spinazzola on the other side. God, you've got an airplane and a train down those lines. It would be amazing. Tariq Lamptey is a very delicate player, but I chose him right now. Obviously, he's gonna be, unrealistic in a few years. Because this guy is going to become an absolute baller. But Tariq Lamptey right now plays for Brighton. His value's not great if you ask me. His value's not that high. So I think a good approach, a good attempt to buy him now would be absolutely amazing from AS Roma. But once again, it's very complicated. Brighton are actually in a good state. They're... Obviously, Tariq Lamptey is a classic Premier League player. So to leave the Premier League, you would obviously, have to think about it for quite a long while. But Tariq Lamptey, he's such a baller. Give me Tariq Lamptey right now. Lamptey and Rudiger are my two choices right now. I just think him and Spinazzola could be just... No one would stop them. He's very similar to Karsdorp, obviously. So buying Lamptey, which is younger than Karsdorp, would mean that if obviously Karsdorp could rest. I mean, if Tariq Lamptey comes to Roma, I think he would become the first and Karsdorp would become the second. But I think, Karsdorp and Lamptey together, they're very similar. So they're amazing. But, once again, this is something which is doable now, is very doable now, because Tariq Lamptey's value right now, I don't think is higher than 20 million. Partly because he's young. He plays for a club like Brighton, but mainly because over the second half of last season he was injured quite a lot, so that's why his value dropped. So right now, if I was Roma, I would approach him right now. Mourinho would love him for the simple fact that he runs like mad down that line. So, Tariq Lamptey and Rudiger are my first two options. Now, let's move on to the midfielder area, because I've sorted my defense. 2 out of my 5 players were defenders. I think Rudiger, the experience he can bring with Smalling next to him, with Mancini next to him, is amazing. Tariq Lamptey to give a young star, what do you call it? A young star influence in the Roma team. Plus, Tariq Lamptey would bond well with the other English players. Maitland-Niles if he comes, Smalling in defense, Abraham in attack. So, he's got all the likes to become a great player, and that's why I chose him. My midfielder section, I chose 2 players. So basically, my 5 players, I chose 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, and an attacker. Now, I went with a Portuguese national team. He plays in the Premier League as well, and he plays for Wolverhampton. I am speaking about Ruben Neves. Now, Ruben Neves is just amazing, and Ruben Neves is the midfielder AS Roma needs right now. He has a perfect balance, we should say, of attack and defense. He's got a massive, great long shot, which can be it can be harmful to other teams. But Ruben Neves next to Veretout would give us Nainggolan and Strootman vibes. I think Veretout and Neves together have an incredible capacity, which I think many midfielders would wish, which is the fact that the resistance they have. It's as if they have like bloody 20 lungs in them. They can run everywhere. Ruben Neves is someone who never gives up. And, just his tackles and everything is just... Ruben Neves, I can't stress this enough, is the perfect midfielder that Roma should buy right now. Obviously, his value is high. Manchester United are interested in him. But the fact that Mourinho and Neves are both Portuguese... there might be a link, and that's primarily the reason of why I chose him, because I think a manager like Mourinho, who's Portuguese, just like Ruben Neves, who comes from Portuguese team, because Wolverhampton is basically a Portuguese team, would be amazing. And I think if Ruben Neves has the opportunity to be coached by Mourinho, who comes from his own country, I think it wouldn't take that much time for him to accept it. But obviously the problem with Ruben Neves is the money. Because as I said before, big clubs are interested in him. Manchester United, I have read, and Borussia Dortmund primarily are interested in him, which obviously your clubs which Roma can't compete with when it comes to the financial and economic side. But the fact, the Mourinho effect, and just he's the perfect. He would be even better than Zakaria, if you ask me. He's very similar to Zakaria. That's something to say. But Ruben Neves, I think, would bring such depth, because he's literally a It's like buying 2 players for the price of one. He's a defender and an attacker midfielder at the same time. He runs absolutely everywhere, never gives up until the third and final whistle of the referee. So Ruben Neves would be God's glory would be for Roma. So yeah, I went with him. And then my second to last pick is another midfielder. Now, he was born as a midfielder, but now in many occasions he's been moved to a winger position, and he's more of a Pellegrini style midfielder, if you ask me. And I think this is possibly, out of all of my 5 players in this list, this is probably the easiest one to achieve. It's obviously, he's a great player, so it would take effort. But I think out of these 5 players, this player would, be the likely, would be, him himself would be, would accept Roma no matter what. And I think it would be great. And I'm talking about someone who plays for PSG, and that's a massive factor. I'm speaking and talking about Julian Draxler. I find this guy, I think he deserves more at PSG. But obviously the problem is that now a club like PSG won't play him, because look at the players they have. Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, and then these are the primary options. Then they've got secondary options, which are Icardi, Di Maria. Draxler is like the third option for Pochettino at PSG. He has no chance at PSG at all. In fact, this season, I barely ever saw him play for PSG in the Ligue 1, in the French League, and in the Champions League as well. Julian Draxler, I think, could easily accept a Roma move. The problem with him, once again, would be the financial part of it. But I do think he's a player, he's a young player, he's a German national team. He deserves more minutes in his legs. And at a club like Roma, he would play every single match. You know, Julian Draxler is great. And the fact that he plays for a club like PSG is even great. Is even better for us, because it means he won't have space. Because, I mean, with players like Messi, Neymar and Mbappe, I don't blame Pochettino, to be honest with you. But, you know, at the same time, he deserves more. And obviously, to keep him in the German national team, which is a national team which in the World Cup in 2022 will be very, very dangerous, he wants to be a part of that German team. The problem is that Hansi Flick will not give him a call if he barely ever plays for PSG. So just a move to Roma would make his career easier. And the fact, you know, that he wants to play for his own country, you know, obviously Hansi Flick is not going to choose someone who doesn't play. So coming to Roma, one, would guarantee minutes in your legs 100%, because a player like him, especially with a player like Pellegrini, who always bloody gets injured, Julian Draxler could be the future of Roma, if you ask me. He's not even that old. Let me search up how old is Julian Draxler. Julian Draxler is 28 years old. He's not that old, to be honest with you. He is actually not that old. So, you know, I see something going on here. I mean, Roma need to approach this well. Roma need to, you know, they need to do something, because it won't be the easiest thing to achieve. But once you've achieved Julian Draxler, which, if you ask me, is not the hardest of choices, you know, I think it would be great. It would be absolutely insane. So he is my third player, as you can probably tell. I did put him in. Now, my last player, I wanted to... Right, I'm kind of divided in two for this. Because there are aspects of... This is my last player. He's an attacker. There are aspects of this which say it's as easy as F to get him to AS Roma. But there are other aspects of this player which say it's bloody impossible to get him to play for AS Roma. He is maybe, definitely, the second out of this out of these five players, which would be the hardest to achieve, after Rudiger, in my opinion. I am speaking about Abama who? Abama what? Abama blood clot young Aubameyang. I can see Aubameyang joining AS Roma. You might call me crazy. You might call me absolute bullshit speaker. But trust me, I can see Aubameyang joining AS Roma. I might be daydreaming. I'm not gonna lie. But I can see good aspects in this, because he is done with Arsenal. Him and Arteta are starting World War III. Every single interview Arteta takes, he always mentions how things are going bad with Aubameyang. Listen to his press conference before the match against Manchester City, and a journalist is going to ask him, what about Aubameyang? And he's going to go, Aubameyang is not a part of my project anymore. He is sitting at home. This is not what Aubameyang deserves. You know, Aubameyang was a big part of Arsenal Football Club. When he was in his prime at Arsenal, people were comparing him to Thierry Henry. I think Aubameyang doesn't deserve this. Because yes, Arsenal with Aubameyang in the latest years has been absolutely appalling. But Aubameyang was possibly one of your few saviors in that moment. Because Arsenal was so... I mean, Arsenal didn't deserve a relegation in these last couple of years. But... they were close, because they were that bad. Aubameyang was their savior. This disrespect from Arteta is something Aubameyang does not deserve. Arteta is not playing him anymore. Arteta is not even giving him a call anymore. You know, Arteta and Aubameyang and Arsenal are done. It's done. It's done. If a good offer approaches Aubameyang, he'd do anything to start playing football again. Because Arteta is not going to start him anytime soon. You can count my words on that. He's not going to... Arsenal are living a great moment. And they're living this great moment without Aubameyang. So Arteta is not going to start him anytime soon. The problem is that bigger clubs are interested in him. Barcelona and Juventus, clubs which Roma can't compete with financially and economically, are both interested in him. But something big is, obviously, we wouldn't buy Aubameyang if Zaniolo signed his contract. If Zaniolo ends up signing his contract, Aubameyang it wouldn't happen, because we've got Tammy, we've got, Zaniolo, and to be honest with you, we don't need a third striker. It would hypothetically be a waste of money. But as I said yesterday in yesterday's live stream, Zaniolo signing a new contract is becoming more complicated. And the amount of money Roma could make from the Zaniolo deal could be spent on Aubameyang. I'm not saying all of it, because I am totally against spending a bunch of money on one single player. But part of it would, because Aubameyang does not cost 40 million. I am sorry, but Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is nowhere close to 40 million. The way he's been playing in these last couple of years, because the way he's been playing in these last couple of months, even years, just dropped his value by a lot. By a lot. I mean, let's be honest with you. Aubameyang right now is 30 million. I think Zaniolo is worth more than Aubameyang, if you ask me. Aubameyang, though, I think is a bad player now because of the way Arsenal play. Because Arteta has started Aubameyang as a left winger many, many times. Aubameyang cannot play in that position. At Roma, next to Abraham, he can get back playing football just like he was doing at Borussia Dortmund with Marco Reus. So, it's possibly out of the stars. But I see some real aspects in this. And let me add him in my list. Because, yes, it's tough. It's very tough. But, I can see some... I don't know. I just, logistically, I see this... To be honest with you, I'm going to admit it. I don't think this will happen. But this is not real transfer market news. This is just a challenge of me getting 5 players realistically. And Aubameyang is realistic. Aubameyang is 100% realistic. People in the chat are saying Cavani. I think Cavani is on the impossible scale right now. Because Cavani, if he leaves United, which I think he'll end up leaving... he'll go to Barcelona. It's clear. Barcelona are in a mess. They need good players. They need experienced players. Or otherwise, he will accept the move back in South America. Cavani to Roma, I can't see it happening. I can see Aubameyang coming to Roma more and more and more. The influence, the Premier League influence AS Roma are having with so many players coming from the Premier League is another big factor. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end it on this note. My 5 players which I would buy and bring to Roma, or Antonio Rudiger, which out of these 5 would be the hardest. Tariq Lamptey, Ruben Neves, perfect midfielder for Roma in this state, would improve your squad depth by a lot. Julian Draxler, whatever you call him, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Abama blood clot young. It's tough. These 5 players, possibly the more realistic one is Julian Draxler. I think if effort and hard work comes from Thiago Pinto towards Draxler, I can see it happening in a way. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was a fun challenge. Play along as soon as this becomes a video. Play along in the comments as well. Let me know your 5 players realistically which you would buy and bring to Mourinho. I want to point out that I'm gonna take 3/4 days break. I'm back the 3rd of January, just in time for the preparation for AC Milan, because I'm going out to spend New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and the 2nd of January somewhere else. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to wish you a massive New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, because it's been a tremendous year. The support, this channel is a small channel, but the support is amazing. And, with more support and everything, there are aspects of this channel growing more and more and more. So it's been an incredible year, Starting this entire journey on YouTube has been absolutely amazing. And it's just the beginning, because we've got a massive 2020 ahead of us with many objectives yet to conquer. Europa Conference League, Champions League, Coppa Italia. Who knows? Let's hope for the best and have a wonderful, 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 I can't stress this enough, New Year's with your families, with your loved ones. I'll catch you in 2022 in a brand new year. full of objectives. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful break, and I'll catch you soon. Subscribe if you're new. We're getting closer to 2,000 subscribers. Like this live stream as soon as it becomes a video, and follow me here on Instagram at Lower Score the Simon Show. Have a massive end to 2021. I'll catch you soon. Simon out.